Hello and welcome to World Talks, where every word matters. With me, Anna Kalczyńska, coming to you live from Warsaw, Poland. Poland summoned Hungary's ambassador to Warsaw on Friday over former Polish Deputy Justice Minister Marcin Romanowski's political asylum granted by Budapest and decided to recall its ambassador to Hungary. Now, Romanowski faces 11 charges as Polish prosecutors accused him of being involved in an organized crime group, using crime as a source of income and abusing his power while serving as Deputy Minister of Justice. The history of bilateral relations knows such stories, but to elaborate on that, I'm joined now by Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, Associate Professor, Faculty of Law and Administration, University of Warsaw. Good morning. Good evening, rather.
Thank you very much for invitation. Yes.
As I said, the story, it's not a precedence. We've known a similar case. The former Catalan Prime Minister, Carles Puigdemont, went into hiding in Belgium. So this issue, I'm talking about this very issue of Marcin Romanowski, has several layers and several intersecting levels, should we say. Legal one, political one, European as well. So what will be the effects on all of them?
Indeed, it is a very complex issue, and I'm not sure to what extent the comparison between Charles Puigdemont and his attempt to escape the Spanish prosecution is comparable to what is currently happening with Mr. Romanowski, especially that Belgium, as far as I know, has not breaking the European law, as currently Hungary is attempting to do that. So the biggest challenge at this moment is, let's say, the relation between European law and the internal regulations of the state, meaning that there is a European arrest warrant which is given to arrest Mr. Romanowski. And Hungary, as a member state of the European Union, is obliged to execute this European arrest warrant. So should it decide otherwise, there is a conflict between what is happening on the, let's say, domestic legal level and the European legal level.
And bilateral relations between Poland and Hungary.
They are, I would say, even secondary in this respect, because, again, Poland is using a European Union legal instrument, which is European arrest warrant. And as we know, all the European Union member states primarily are obliged to fulfill the European legislation and legal requirements. And
as the European law has the precedence over the domestic law.
Precisely, and all the regulations which are internal should be in line with the European law, because again, the decision to join and to become member of European Union means that also the legal order of the European Union is going to be implemented in the member states.
So, Madam Professor, so from the political point of view, the situation is quite clear. We can discuss it separately about Viktor Orban trying to show his muscles over the situation in Europe ahead of the Polish presidency. Perhaps these are different dimensions. However, I wonder, what does the EU law say about the arrest warrant? Is it an instrument that has to be viewed with the asylum granted? In other words, can this asylum stretch its power of protection even if the arrest warrant is issued?
Well, granting asylum is actually a discretionary power, which is the power of the government of every country. But again, here in this case, we have the conflict between European arrest warrant, which is given for Mr. Romanowski, and the discretionary power of the Hungarian government, Prime Minister Viktor Orban, to grant this political asylum status. This is my understanding, at least, because here there are some differences in the news, whether it is really the political asylum or even refugee status, which again, in legal terms, are not the same instruments.
International protection, it's been called.
Again, what is international protection? Political asylum is actually an internal domestic instrument, not an international domestic instrument. So refugee status is more of international legal protection, which means that, again, Hungary, as a European Union member state, should first of all fulfill its membership requirements, meaning that it should execute the European arrest warrant. Should it not do that, and here the Hungarian courts have 60 days to actually execute this order, if they should not grant this request, it means that Poland, as the country that issued the European arrest warrant, can appeal to the European Commission, and then European Commission can refer this case to the European Union Court.
Okay, and so what's the procedure as regards this asylum being granted? Is it granted automatically? How come Marcin Romanowski has received this asylum so quickly?
It is a discretionary decision, as I just explained, meaning that this is the decision taken by the political authorities of a state, of a country. The basis for this kind of situation is when a person is facing political prosecution, facing death penalty in this person's home country, faces some tortures or some illegal treatment, or not being able to have this person's case actually received by the proper court. But in the case of Mr. Romanowski, there is not such a base, because first of all, his arrest warrant, the primary, let's say, so national arrest warrant, was based on the court's decision. So he's not prosecuted by any political party or political aspect of the Polish government. It is a decision which is made by the independent court. So again, there is no such a legal base for him actually to meet those criteria. But again, this is the discretionary power of the government, and for some reason Viktor Orban decided that this asylum, political asylum, should be granted.
So Romanowski's legal representatives are citing the base of impossible impartiality in due legal process, that this is the case and this is the grounding for looking for an asylum because of political persecution basically in Poland right now. Well,
with this reasoning, I'm afraid that any political figure could not be prosecuted for anything in any country, because every time it could be explained or claimed that there is some political element in the prosecution. But we have the division of powers, we have the independent courts exactly for this reason. So any attempts to politically prosecute any person should be stopped by the impartial court, and this is the role of the courts in any rule of law system.
Absolutely. Shouldn't the applicant exhaust the whole legislative path domestically prior to applying for an asylum?
Well, first of all, the legislative path has been exploited by Mr. Romanowski, as far as I know, because there is the final decision of the court for the time being, meaning that he should be arrested. So then, of course, there will be a court procedure which should start and finish according to all these procedures, with all the rights protected for part of the criminal procedure. But anyway, he is the subject of this procedure, and escaping to another country means that he is not willing to take part in this procedure.
Could we somehow compare it to Nicolas Sarkozy's situation, who is also being sentenced in France and who is invoking the European Court of Justice? So the similar situation could happen with Marcin Romanowski. He could do the same.
Well, Nicolas Sarkozy is in France. He did not escape to any country. I would rather look at the former Prime Minister of North Macedonia, Nikola Gruevski, who actually was a convicted criminal for his corruption offenses. And he escaped after receiving the sentence from North Macedonia and claimed, requested political asylum in Hungary. And he also was granted this political asylum. So I think that we should look at the similarities in the situations between those two cases.
Just to wrap up, as we are running out of time, what could be the potential consequences for Hungary right now on the part of the European Commission if the Commission decides to act?
Well, first of all, now the move is on the side of the Polish government, because if the procedure is not finalized in Hungary, so after the 60 days that the Hungarian court should actually issue this arrest warrant for the Hungarian territory, if it's not going to happen, Polish government should appeal to the European Commission and then to the European Union Court, meaning that the European Union Court then should take this on board and deal with the Hungarian government according to all these procedures and treaties.
Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, thank you very much. Associate Professor from University of Warsaw was our guest tonight. And that concludes this edition of World Talk. Thank you very much for watching, and please stay tuned for more news and more conversation coming up.